All right, so so here we have again the frequency table. And let me see. Okay, so let's go through it together. So again, you know, we have to type in the data. So let me just delete this. Let me share it. Sorry, I gotta share it. Let me do that real quickly. I just gotta share the Google Sheets screen. There we go. Oh, darn, wrong slide. Sorry, wrong thing to share. There it is. So it's the same. I think difference here is the frequency. So let's just change that. We have 4, 4, 2, 4, 2, 4. Okay. So we have the data now. Okay. So again, we're going to highlight. Okay. Like before. We're going to go to data. Excuse me, not data. We're going to go to insert. Go to chart. Okay. And we want a bar chart, which in Google Sheets is a column chart. So we have this, as you can see. Okay. So that's our bar graph for this data. And to get a Pareto chart, the only thing different you have to do is just sort the data. So let me go through that quickly. So to do that, right, I guess it's going to sort this automatically, as you'll see. Watch this. Go to insert, okay? That's insert data, I mean. And you sort column B from Z through A, like so. Okay. Okay. And then for pie chart, same thing, right? You go to pie chart, click on that, and it'll change it to a pie chart. So, I mean, I didn't put that into the, what do you call it, the PowerPoint slides, but I'll put them in when I post the slides. So this is what we get. And again, if you want to, you could change this also. If you go to customize, go to pie slice. No, sorry, not slice, sorry. Pie chart, go to label. See? Slice label, I put value and percentage. Then, legend, legend. Click on position. You can put it on the right as so. You get that. All right. Okay, let me move. Okay, so we have those examples done. Any questions on that? Figured that'd be good to do something else. So, oh, wrong one. Wrong slide. There it is. There it is. Why don't we read from graphs now, okay? I think, it'd be good to read from graphs. That's something you should be able to do. So let's practice doing that. So here we have this bar graph, right? Okay. Now we have this bar graph, and here what's happening is, grades were given to students. The bar graph, as you can see over here, this is actually showing you the relative frequency, though, not the frequency, which is a little bit different, right? This is showing you the relative frequency. So let's say we knew there were 40 students, right? Let's say we want to know how many students got an A on their paper. Well, it's really not that hard to do, right? All you really have to do is, you go to the bar chart, okay? And here we can see it's about halfway between 20 and 30, right? So if it's between 20 and 30, it's halfway about, so 25. That's telling you it's 25%, okay? And there are 40 students, so this is saying 25% of those students got an A. How many is that? Well, to do that, we would have to answer the question, what is 25% of 40? Well, that's the calculation over here, as you can see. Okay. So 25% of 40. So we have 0.25, or you could do 25/100 times 40, which is 10. So 10 students here got an A. So that's just an easy example reading from graphs. That's one example. Let's do another one. So this is another problem I think I actually got from the book. Let's suppose Mary, okay, so she is organized, she categorized her spendings, as you can see. And these are percentages as well. Now she spent on rent, food, fun, and other. And here we're given that 24% of it is on fun, 16% of that is on food, 26% is on rent, 34% is on other. So the question here is, if she spent, let's say, $2,800, right? Let's say she spent that much on rent. Well, then how much did she actually spend in dollar amounts? So she spent $2,800, not just on rent, excuse me, on everything. How much did she spend on rent? Well, 26% of her spending is rent. So they're really just asking, what is 26% of 2,800? Okay, well, what is that? Well, that's what they're asking for. Okay, so it's just like before. What is 26% of something? You do 0.26 or 26 over 100 times that something, which is this. That's what we get. Good. All right, so she spent $728 on rent. All right. Okay, now, we did qualitative data, right? So far, that's the kind of data where like you really can't do calculations with directly unless you do some kind of frequency table or you do something like this with percentages, okay? Well, the other kind of data is quantitative data. And what you can do, the only graph they show you in the book that we're going to do is a histogram. But basically, you do make a frequency table. Then what you can do is you make what's called a histogram. It's very similar to a bar graph. Very similar to a bar graph. Basically, what happens is the only difference, as you can see, is that the horizontal axis is the number line. So it's kind of like before, but the horizontal line now is going to be the number line. What's going to happen? I mean, okay, so we'll make some examples next time. I probably should have put one down there. We'll get to one in a minute, but what's going to happen though is, as you'll see when we see a bar graph, when you see a histogram, it's kind of like a bar graph. What's going to happen is the bars are going to live on intervals, and the value, as you can see, it's going to represent values from the left side up to including, but not including the right side of the bar. We'll see when we see examples, that's going to make more sense. I know that probably doesn't make much sense now. I did put in here, how to actually go about making one. You could actually make one through Google Sheets. Okay. What's really annoying though with making a histogram is you have to list all the data in one column. You have to put it down as a list. You could actually do this in Desmos also, but I figured Google Sheets is a little bit better. You have to write it in as one entire list. So I mean, this is in the notes, but for instance, if we wanted to make a histogram of this, so these are like scores out of 20, let's say, right? And this is our frequency. You would have to have 0 listed twice, 5 would be listed once, 12 also, 15 would be listed twice, and so on. And then you would put this all into one column in Google Sheets, and then you go make a bar graph, and you would get this. So you would have to change the bucket size. I'll show that next time. This is what I was trying to say. For instance, you can see how each bucket is on sort of like an interval, right? This includes all numbers greater than or equal to the left-hand side, but strictly less than the right-hand side. So basically 0 is the only thing in here. But if 1 were a score, 1 would be represented in here as well. So in other words, every score bigger than or equal to 2, bigger than or equal to 0, excuse me, and less than 2, that's represented by this bar. Here, it's all the numbers bigger than or equal to 4, less than 6. So that would be 5. Okay. So that's just how it does it. You know, for instance, all the numbers between greater than or equal to 18 and less than 20, strictly less than 20, 18 and 19, right? There's 12 of those. That's represented by this bar. 20 is not included in here because we don't include the right endpoint. All right, we have like a minute left, so let me stop here.